program for us for this afternoon. We have a long session, 2.5 hours, and it will consist of two parts. First, I have an excellent panel here with me, and our topic is effective partnerships for the implementation of the SDGs and the SAMOA pathway. So it really is in the core of the issues that we've already been talking a lot about. In the panel, we have expertise from different areas. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing their views on partnerships, how they see it, their contributions, challenges, ways ahead, and so on, from different perspectives. For us, of course, it's absolutely clear that no entity alone can get the SDGs implemented. We need everybody. We need private sector, government. We need international organizations, civil society. We need really a multi-stakeholder approach to mobilize all possible resources in support of the small island states. And of course, in SDGs, we have SDG 17 that calls for global partnerships for sustainable development. And for the small islands, we've talked about partnerships already for quite some time. It was already 22 years ago, it was part of the Barbados Program of Action. It was part of Mauritius strategy, and certainly most recently also part of the SAMOA conference. It was actually the key theme of the SAMOA conference. And one of the real important outcomes of the SAMOA conference was the call for the establishment of the SIDS partnership framework, which was a year later then formally established by the General Assembly. And just to remind us what that partnership framework is, the objective of the framework is to monitor progress of partnership commitments, ensure its implementation, as well as make sure that SIDS issues remain high on the political agenda and encourage new partnerships across diverse range of stakeholders. And it has several components. It has the UN member states-driven steering committee that is currently co-chaired by Italy and the Maldives. And it also has annual gathering of partners and beneficiaries, experts meetings, and so on, and also an online platform. So it's a very kind of framework for this SIDS partnership. And this work will, of course, continue. Private sector, as I mentioned, we just finished an event here. We also, during the SAMOA conference, had a private sector, separate private sector forum. And last March, we organized in Aruba, jointly with the government of Aruba and the Kingdom of Netherlands, a follow-up for the SAMOA Partnership Forum, which was a conference on public-private partnerships. And we are planning on a similar meeting later on this year. And I know that even in this region, as we speak here, there are several other meetings that very much relate to SDGs and the partnerships. In Aruba, we also launched what is called the Global Business Network, which is a web platform and intended to serve as a resource hub to complement and connect the national and regional work done by SIDS private sector and global businesses and governments, and really looking for partnerships both from the north and the south. So a lot going on, excellent panel, very not very good gender balance, but I'm very proud of the gender balance in this panel. But excellent also, very different views and viewpoints, and I'm very much looking forward to your presentation. I thank you very much for being in the panel today. So let's start with our first panelist is Ms. Aishath Saadh, and she currently heads the Suitable Development Goals Division in the Maldives. And she's taking the task of coordination and reporting of SDGs in the Maldives, and currently focusing in creating awareness and integrating global goals in sectoral plans and national strategies, and working with all stakeholders in preparing the execution of global goals in the Maldives. So very interesting to hear your perspectives. Madam, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished delegates and fellow participants, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers, UN and the Commonwealth of Bahamas, for the warm welcome and the very impressive organization of the symposium. Is the presentation on? Do we have the presentation?
Who is in charge of the presentation? If you can start, please.
Okay, thank you. No man is an island. Who understands this better than us island nations? The global goals aims high. The targets are ambitious and the resources are limited. Many countries not only lacks the funds to attain the SDGs, but also the technical know-how and systems to attain the SDGs and to implement and achieve them. We cannot accomplish these goals by working in isolation. We need to support and empower each other. We need to reach out and ask for guidance. From this morning, we heard that the difficulties faced to get things done within the government. We need political will, finances, skills, training to get things going. However, we cannot wait for the ideal setting. In the Maldives, we have 3 elections coming up. We have the local government elections coming this year, the presidential election next year, and the parliament elections the following year. This definitely would stir up things, and the transformation of institutes and mechanisms is expected. We need to embed the SDGs in the system and strategies and make SDGs something that the politicians cannot ignore. My presentation will look into our efforts into getting engaged with building partnerships with key partners to have SDGs embedded in our national strategies and be the demand and make the SDGs the demand of the people. Firstly, as we discussed this morning, we are talking with interagencies, in the intergovernment agencies, as well as collaborating with other state agencies like the parliament, the judiciary. We are setting up dialogues with them to have them oriented to the SDGs and how this can be embedded in their strategies as well. We still have a lot of work to get the government institutions engaged in SDGs, and we have different levels of understanding of how important or how significant these global goals would be and how important it is for them to get engaged. Like, for instance, the education sector and the health sector, those who are very familiar with the MDGs are quite working out things for themselves and getting the process going. But usually the economic sectors, they are a bit clueless, and I think we need to guide them more and get things going in such sectors. We are already working with the parliamentarians on enlightening them on the SDGs, and also Ministry of Finance. We are working to implement how we can collaborate on streamlining the national budget to the SDGs and deriving how much the domestic, mobilizing domestic resources and what we are getting, the contribution to the SDGs. we are also working on, we also plan to work with the UN agents, UNDP, in gearing the political parties for SDGs, and when the manifestos come in, we want that to be it to be embedded with the SDGs as well. So that's a bit of work we are trying to work on to sort it out yet. Also, we are trying to strengthen our information systems and data gathering and sharing of information. We have systems, but we are a bit reluctant to share and be more open with the data. So that's something that we really have to work on in the Maldives. The other arena we are working is with the private sector. We started off with the state-owned enterprises, where we went to them and discussed and presented the SDGs to them. At first, they had the impression that we were there to ask for some sponsorship or ask for some money to for something. But we identified them as partners for global goals, and the response was very positive. We try to state that business as usual is not what we are looking for, but we want the SDGs and the goals and how they could partner with us to achieve the goals and the targets that they have set out. And within the dialogue, the state-owned enterprises, they have been mandated, some of them has been mandated with providing water, electricity, sewerage, and waste management. So these are people who we directly need to work, and it's not that we are just there for their sponsorship or the CSR initiatives. So this is going pretty well, and the response has been very positive. And they have agreed that they'll be sharing data and information from as well, and also in some aspects resources and expertise. And they have opened up to provide slots from their time on TV, which they would want to share with us to give information on SDGs and such events as well. And they would want to display their efforts in the industry as contributing to the SDGs. For instance, we have this initiative by the government where we are trying to place people with disabilities within finding them jobs and placing them in the state agencies, because this is a bit of a not very common, and it's something that felt that anybody with some disability is somebody who cannot be making a living for themselves. But this initiative is working well, and we would want to portray this as a contribution to the SDG Goal 10, where we reduce inequalities, and we could portray the companies who have taken in created 200 jobs for some people with the disabilities, where the state-owned enterprises, they have a collaboration where they have taken in these people to give them employment opportunities. So we would want to showcase these opportunities and reflect them in the SDGs as well. Also, we plan to take the next step of having SDGs integrated into the private sector, especially the tourism industry, how we can work with them in attaining this, especially in the environmental impacts, job opportunities, and such areas. The other area we are working into is the civil society. I heard in the morning that with how public consultations are done, and how and on ad hoc basis these NGOs or the public is consulted. So we would want it to be taken further than not just for consultation, but we would want the civil society to be partnering with the government to attain the SDGs. So we are organizing a forum for the NGOs, and we would present what the SDGs is, and then have proposals from them on which goals or which targets that they would be working towards, or they would want to work towards in achieving the the SDGs. And also this would be helping them, us to work in the outreach programs, because we are just a population of about 380,000 scattered in about 184 islands. So mobilizing centrally resources is going to be difficult. So if we have this network of people who would want to be engaged in the process, then we could utilize them to spread the message and to give a voice to the people in these communities. The other area we are engaging is the media. We have had very positive response with discussions from the media, where they are very eager to be engaged, and we have had talks with them where it's not just about reporting a news or having a report done on the SDGs, but we would want SDGs to be embedded in their programming and to raising the issues, especially when the elections come in, when they prepare reports on the people's situation. And also we would want to have them look into things through SDG lens, so which they are very responsive to. And then we are working together on how we could organize this, but what they lack is some training in this aspect. So that issue has been taken up, and we are working on with UNDP on providing some training for the journalists. So this is a very new arena, and always the government sees the media as a bit of a hurdle in their tracks, but when we went and talked with them, the response has been very good, and and the state media has we are going to have an MOU with them, so we are going to have programs on both TV, radio, and the social media. On each goals, and creating awareness on the SDGs and localizing, and how we are going to spread the message to the people. So that's one area we are working as well. And we are also working on engaging the experts and the academia as well. So initially we had a bit of hesitation, because we, like media and private sector, were not seen as partners in development and their planning. Previously, but now once they are on board, the response is very positive from them, and we are working together on how we could take about things. So we don't have to limit our partnerships with conventional partners. We can reach out to anyone who can contribute anything to realize the global goals. It could be the parish, it could be the imam in the mosque, it could be a celebrity, it could be some elderly person within the community who gives a voice to the people, and who are influential in getting things done within the community. Collaborations need not be at national level only. We can collaborate bilaterally, regionally, internationally, and amongst people of the same interest and issues. We need to think radically and differently. We need to plan to provide for now and the future. We need to be more innovative and to think outside the box. We need to balance social, economic, and environmental dimensions to attain sustainability. We need to build partnership and reach out. We need to ensure that no one is left behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam, for excellent presentation. I think that you have highlighted in a great way your national plan, how you are really making sure that you integrate and